Feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank.
Hello and welcome to the video wrap-up show for the Shrimp Tank podcast in Seattle. I'm Dan Whedon, and I'm joined by my co-host, Linda Popke. Linda and I had a really fascinating and fun conversation with a colleague today up in Alaska, our friend and guest, Christian Muntean. To catch the entire episode, and you should, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can find us, all our episodes, on our website at shrimptankpodcast.com/Seattle.
So, Christian, in the podcast, you talked about how few businesses actually get to a successful exit, and that it's so hard to do that. Why do you think it's so hard to have that happen?
Well, the main reason, only about 20, depending on the size and things, 20 to 30% successfully exit only. And these are ones who try to exit, who try to go to market. And part of the reason is because they don't prepare in advance sufficiently to do it. Of the reasons why that's hard, a lot of that has to do with dynamics related to identity and self-worth of the owners. They all of a sudden discover they don't know who they're going to be after the business. It's fun to say I'm the president of, and it's hard to say I used to do X. And that's a huge dynamic. The other two major reasons is many people have built companies that are in some way dependent on them to manage the company, to provide the services, to do the sales or business development, and it doesn't function without them. They're integrated, they're the accountants or whatever. Those are probably the two major reasons. There's about 8 or 9 very common reasons that I do evaluations with owners of, so they know exactly what to work on if they don't want to be part of the, 70 to 80% that will never sell their business. So they can know that in advance. Those are the common ones.
Well, Christian, in that same vein, and you caught my attention during the podcast when you said that there was a difference between succession and exit. Yeah. And I don't know, and I work with small business owners a lot, especially around life insurance and buy, sell funding and all of that. I don't know that I'd ever thought that. I thought they were interchangeable. Talk a little bit about what the difference is between business succession and exiting. Yeah.
It's not super important to get the semantics of that right, but the exit dynamic is when somebody's selling a business and they're actually transferring. Really, the concept is they're transferring ownership. And so there's some differences in the dynamic that surround that. The succession is where you're transferring leadership. So one's ownership, the other one's leadership. And so it's important because in a succession dynamic, there's usually a board or a group of partners who are involved, and they've hired a CEO or a president or general manager or whomever, and they're looking for a new leader of the company, but somebody else retains ownership of the company, or if it's a nonprofit, they retain a governance responsibility for the organization. And so those two elements, there's a lot of what's required to make them both work and be successful that are similar, but there are some key differences. For example, it's not so important for a company that's just purely looking for succession. You have a retiring CEO and they want to bring in a new one. It's not so important that they pay attention to the same things that would make them attractive and valuable to a potential buyer, because that's not one of the questions they're wrestling with. Now, some of those same underlying dynamics have to do with overall health and functioning and performance of the company. So there's similarity, but there's differences as well. Does that help?
Absolutely. Great answer.
Yeah.
Well, Christian, we've really enjoyed having you being a guest here with us on the Shrimp Tank. So for listeners that want to find out how to get a hold of you, where to find out more information, you have 2 books that you've published. Where would they go to find out?
Yeah, the best place to learn more about me, to get a hold of me, to get free resources is to go to www.christianmuntean.com.
Great. Fantastic. So after you all do that, go and check out the full podcast and all of the replays on our podcasts on shrimptankpodcast.com/Seattle and wherever you get your podcasts, iHeart, Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, because Dan, we are
ubiquitous.
We are ubiquitous. And once you do that, go and follow us on our social media pages on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram.
Well, Christian, thank you for joining us from Alaska. Thank goodness for Zoom. We're able to do this type of thing and have you on the show. Really enjoyed you and your interview and everything. People should check it out.
Thank you.
Linda, as always, thank you. Everyone, do what Linda says. Like us on our Facebook page, because that's where we live stream every Wednesday, 12 p.m. Pacific, on that Facebook page. So please check it out. Our next show will be on February 15th. Please join us. Until we see you again, be healthy, be prosperous, and have fun. Because for right now, the shrimp is back in the tank. So long.
I've been feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond, and the shrimp